to look back in the future and kick herself and ask herself, why didn't I sing so? Because she will realize, too, that her school years were the most simple of her life.
Apparently, when Bruckner finally got to hear one of his symphonies performed, he was so chuffed, he tried to tip the conductor.
She's usually babysitting.
How can you know all
Mary
these
earns
things?
$10 a night.
So it says on the sleeve.
They have 5 children.
What?
Ages 1 to 10. She's also earned the minimum wage at the local Dairy Queen. And Bonnie is trying to get married.
I think it's rather touching. You obviously think it's pathetic.
Not at all. What happened?
What?
And you're only making $3.35 an hour. I moved into my own house. Do you have any idea how expensive apartments are? No.
What?
Well, the majority of the average rent.
Christ, Jesus. Oh!
Any messages?
Get out.
Any mail?
Will you get the hell out of here?
Well, that's not very nice. All I want to know is there any post for me?
I sent it on to your mother's.
What? Why?
I thought you'd be living there for the time being.
I thought I was living here for the time being, and if I'm not living here, I'm certainly not going anywhere near that old gin bag. You just sent my letters to her because you know she likes steaming them open. Where's Arthur?
Look.
Shut up! Where's Arthur?
I gave him away.
What did you say?
I gave him away!
You bitch!
Listen.
Shut up! Who to?
The news agent.
The news agent?
Yes, you know, our local news agent.
Will you listen to me? You better have him back here by this time tomorrow, or there'll be trouble.
Now look here.
Shut up, you! Do you understand me?
If you want him back, you'll have to go and get him yourself.
I can't look after him at the moment, not where I'm staying.
You'll just have to stop where he is. He's perfectly happy.
I'm not having my dog ducked off on some bloody news agent. They'll be sending you out to the brick before we know where we
Go
are.
away, will you?
That is my
Go
dog.
away!
I'm gonna hurt you.
Patrick, call police!
What?
Call police.
I'm sure. Are you sure?
He's broken in, assaulted you, and threatened me. Tell them that.
999, isn't it?
Who is this creep?
Tell them to come right away.
I shouldn't pick up that phone if I were you, son. Oh, Jesus! Christ, watch what you're doing!
Sorry.
You nearly had my eye out.
Very
I
sorry.
should think so.
You're right.
Fuck!
Now will you go away?
Not till you tell me who this strange man is.
None of your business.
And my name is Patrick Archer.
Never heard of you.
And you must be a Gilly.
I want to know where you picked him up.
We work together.
Look, Patrick, will you not stand chatting? I want him to go.
Patrick, hang on a minute. It's not, is it?
Not what?
Not the famous office ball.
What do you mean?
Not the one who's so dull he put that Arab and his interpreter to sleep during their meeting.
They had a long flight.
I can't believe this. I come back from 3 weeks in Nicosia, most of which I spent lying flat in the corridors of the Lidra Palace Hotel, waiting for some Turk to put a bullet up my Khyber, to find you not only changed the lock, put my possessions into store, and hired some idiot answering service so you don't even have to speak to me, but that you actually appear to be living with a man who's been a household joke for 2 years. You are living here, aren't you? You look married.
Yes, I am living here. No, I'm not married.
What's the meaning of this?
The idea was to avoid this kind of scene. After all, we've had enough of them over the last few months.
Give me a drink.
No.
Scotch?
No.
It's very probably my scotch.
It is not.
Look, there are things to discuss, you know, financial matters, that kind of thing. I know you like to pretend none of that exists, but you can't have an amputation without a few bits and bobs need tying up. So, why don't we all sit down and have a drink?
No.
Well, let me fix him a drink, then you can discuss what you have to discuss and have it over with.
That's the boy. Thanks. Thanks, it's upset me punching you like that. I try never to do anything spontaneous.
I'm surprised it was spontaneous.
It wasn't, no, in fact I planned the whole thing. But the after effect is the same as if it had been spontaneous.
I'm going.
That's not going to be very helpful.
Get on with it then.
Do you want me to go?
Yes.
No.
Make your mind up, Tom.
Look, it's all settled. Everything's everything's settled, so I can't think why you're pissing about. I worked it all out very carefully, so as far as I can see, there's nothing to discuss.
Sit down. There is, on the contrary, a great deal to discuss, and since you seem to insist on washing our dirty linen in public, let me begin with something which is very near to my heart, so to say, directly beneath my bum, namely, my chair.
What?
This is my chair.
We bought it together.
Precisely for me, we bought it together for me.
Look, there were two things we went out and bought together. One was this chair and the other was the rug. Since the rug was considerably more expensive than the chair, I thought that if I gave you the rug, you'd have nothing to complain about.
The rug?
Yes.
Yes, but that's going to be very handy for sitting at my desk typing,
The
isn't
desk
it?
is mine.
Not that ramshackle old heap. I mean my desk.
Are you really sure you wouldn't rather...
Shut up.
I mean, if you really wanted to be on the safe side, you would have given me the chair and the rug. However, since I'm a reasonable man, I propose you give me the chair and I'll bring you back the rug.
No, I don't want you bringing it back. Have someone deliver it and collect the chair and send me the bill.
Right. Excellent. Now, next. Fixtures and fittings.
You want half the curtains?
Oh, very good. This is very good. No, as you well know, fixtures and fittings has very little to do with the curtains. It's a metaphysical landlord's idea, the purpose of which was to secure, as you will remember, large and far from metaphysical sums of money.
You want half the money?
Well, I haven't actually worked it out in any detail, but now you mention it, yes. All right, yes, I would like half the money.
You shit.
I wouldn't like to press you or anything, it's just I'm a bit short at the moment.
I'll give it to you as and when I can get hold of it. I haven't got anything like that kind of money at the moment.
Do you wonder the country's on its knees?
Naturally, I'll have to deduct the pane of glass you broke in the door.
This is awful.
Now, why don't you go away? I don't know why you have to go through all this. The last year you've done nothing but threaten to leave me. All I did was the work.
Work. I spent hours lying on my belly in that telephone queue in Nicosia, while you were in bed with a bore of international reputation. You call that work? I want to talk to you alone.
No.
I must. It's very important.
No.
Anne, please, please.
It's too late for all this.
You mustn't do this to me, eh?
Don't.
I want to go on living with you.
Perhaps I had better...
No.
It's so soft.
Better quick.
I've made up my mind. I was going to ask you to marry me when I got back.
That's not what you said on the phone.
I was frightened. I got frightened in silence. I decided I knew something had to be done.
Something has been done.
Let me come back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry! No, I was.
I really think you must go now.
All right. Would you like me to call you a taxi?
I can't afford a taxi. I'm completely. I'll walk.
Where are you staying?
Just a boy.
That's absurd.
None of your bloody business.
I'm surprised you don't go and stay with one of your mistresses.
You know very well my mistresses in London are married. I'll be in touch. Pip, pip, old fart.
Well, never forgive me now. Not that he would have done anyway. Jesus.
So that's it.
Yes.
Can't say as I can remember such an unusual week.
I told you he was a bastard.
Never made you put up with him for so long.
Expect he'll be back.
Tell me, why did you tell him all of those things about how boring that was?
That's the kind of thing he used to enjoy.
Fair enough. Yes, well, all right. But tell him I'll be there in a little while. Is that all right, Bob? There's someone at the door. Won't be a minute. I'm on the phone.
Don't mind me.
Yes, well, right. Hello? Yes. Will that be alright? But, I don't know, somehow.
Sister Anne.
Good, thank you. What do you want?
I've come to apologise.
Yes?
Yes. Well, I know my behaviour last night was absolutely unforgivable. But I thought the least I could do was make a gesture. So.
Well.
Yes, water. Water for them. Coffee for me.
I don't know that I can spare the time.
Oh, surely, otherwise I'm done.
I didn't mean that. I mean the coffee.
Ah, well. I wouldn't normally, of course, dream of imposing on you, but the thing is, I never made it back to the Savoy last night. Couldn't face it somehow. I've been tramping the streets ever since I left you.
Maybe there's some left in the box.
White, please. I was just, turning the whole situation over and over in my mind. And by this morning, all I could think was, whatever else I do, I must try to make up for last night. Fortunately, I was just about able to scrape together the immense pile of cash one seems to need nowadays before one can afford even the simplest nosegay. And I came straight over. And white sugar. None of your Ponzi crystals.
It seems we have a friend in common. Charles Felix.
Charlie?
Yes.
Mate of yours, is it?
Well,
Because he's certainly no friend of mine.
really?
Matter of fact, I think he's a fucking toe rag. Suppose you have a lot of friends?
Oh, well, you know.
Yeah. Don't believe in yourself.
Don't believe in what?
Friends. Loyalty, I believe.
I don't,
What are you going to do, marry her?
Eventually, yes, I will, possibly.
What she said to you about me?
You know.
What I want to know is, how long have you been lurking around waiting for this to happen? Have you spent years admiring her from afar? Or were you the sympathetic shoulder for her to snivel on? Or have you in fact been given her one twice weekly down amongst the filing cabinets?
Yes, to a certain extent, and
What are you talking about?
answering your questions.
See. In that case, what do you mean by to a certain extent?
I mean, I did try to be sympathetic when she was obviously unhappy, which I think she appreciated. Though she never told me what it was that was making her unhappy.
In other words, you never complained about me. That woman has no feelings.
Is that a joke?
Of course not, you humorless Burke.
Seems to me that if you're worried about what people say about you, you should be more careful about how you treat them.
And conversely, needlepoint mottos can make your thumb bleed. Anyway, was it worth waiting for?
What?
What do you think?
I don't think I have to talk to you about that.
The reason I ask is, the age I am now, which is of course the age you were some years ago. Can't remember the point of this remark. Oh yes, what I used to regret most were the women I couldn't have. Now, as often as not, it's the women I do have.
Not a problem of mine.
Oh, what I mean is, you've had the best of her now. From now on, it'll be downhill all the way. She's not what I call sparky. You'll find it gets pretty boring. I used to have to put a record on or read a book. Why go through all that and upset yourself? Why not leave it to me? I'm all she's good for.
Well, what do you expect me to say to that?
Yes.
Look, it's really no good talking to me about all this.
I know that. I realise that. But I really don't have much alternative, do I? I mean, if you come back from abroad and find the person you've been living with for 2.5 years has locked you out and refuses to speak to you, you have to grasp at any straw. And put yourself in my place. Mentally, I mean.
Yes, well, I tried to tell Anne it might not be the best way of going about things, but she insisted.
You mean she doesn't do what you tell her?
You have a very aggressive way of putting a question.
You have a very evasive way of not answering one.
Well, I would think in your profession, not having your questions answered was all that a day's work.
All right, whereas to you...
That's right.
I once frightened a man off by violently attacking the Jesuits.
Was it a subject close to his heart?
No. On the contrary, he knew as little about the Jesuits as I did, but once he ventured a tentative protest against some particularly outrageous assertion of mine, of course he was done. Hours of flabby footwork and judicious mumblings against the energy and passion of an apparently committed man. You can imagine the effect on the woman in question.
Yes.
The contempt she felt for that poor bastard was something beautiful to behold. Of course, she was very stupid. I married them off in the end. I sometimes wonder how often and in what terms they speak of Jesuits.
Is this by way of being a warning?
Only indirectly. The Jesuits would do for you and Anne. Whereas anything would have done for those two. Stock car racing. I could have harangued him on stock car racing. It would have been almost as good. Although the Jesuits have given me more...
mileage.
Scope. Where were you the night I got back anyway?
Bristol. Bristol! With my father. Terrific.
I spent the whole night, and most of the next day, sitting on my suitcase in the porch.
Did you get the letter?
Naturally, I got the letter. But the letter didn't say you'd be skulking in Bristol for days. Nor did it say you were both going to take a lengthy holiday from the office. By the way, that must have caused some tittle-tattle among your colleagues.
I doubt it.
Nor did it say anything about you. Beyond referring to you as someone else, a not altogether flattering description. The only way I could find out who you were was to go in and listen to the tittle-tattle among your colleagues.
I see.
I mean, I'm sorry I pretended not to know who you were last night. I thought it would be...
Jesuitical.
Yes. Expedient. Forgive me. But you can surely appreciate it's a desperate situation. I mean, God knows I've split up with enough people in the past, but it's always been a kind of ritual disemboweling, never the guillotine.
Anne thought it would be better.
To you.
Well, given the image you've just given.
Let me put it another way. It's always been a jump. But there's usually been a parachute.
Yes. Well, listen, why don't you come and have dinner with us this evening?
Really?
Yes, I can understand there would be a chance to clear all this up.
What time?
8-ish.
Done. And I'll be pleased.
Well, if she doesn't think it's a good idea, I can always call you and cancel.
Yes.
At the Savoy.
Oh, yes.
Or at the pit.
No, at the Savoy.
Good.
My word, this is civilized. All that remains now is for me to touch you for a loan.
I don't think so.
No.
Well, how much do you need?
How much can you spare?
From what I gather from Anne, you make a great deal more money than I do.
Yeah, but I need a lot of money.
What for?
To spend. What do you think for? To spend.
I see.
Do you think you're underpaid?
Sometimes.
Perhaps you should become a miner.
What?
I'm sorry. It's just something I say to test people's reactions. If they laugh, I know they're shits.
Well, I might have laughed. Out of courtesy, say.
Makes no difference, does it?
Well, listen, I probably could give you something, you know, to tide you over.
Very handsome. But no.
No.
No, on mature reflection, I don't think it would be right.
Just as you like.
Thanks all the same. Very generous of you. Shows there are more important things in life than women.
Anne tells me you hate women.
She's a clever girl.
Why is that?
My mum wouldn't let me have a bicycle.
I see.
Anything I can do for you?
Well, I have to get going, late as it is.
Now let me keep you.
I thought.
I just have to make 1 or 2 phone calls, if that's all right. In lieu of the loan.
Well, all right.
I know you have to get on. The country may be on its knees, but others are on their faces in the mud. Am I right?
Close the door behind you.
I've lived here for years. I know how to close the door.
Yes.
See you this evening. You are going to be here this evening.
Yes, of course.
Just one. How's your nose?
What?
Your nose.
Oh, fine, thanks.
Terrific. Thanks for everything. Take care. Hello, Emma. This is Dave. Yeah. Yeah, I know. What are you up to this afternoon? Well, I thought you might like to pop round and visit me at the Savoy. That's right. Ah. Well, can't you put them off? Oh well. Never mind. Perhaps next week sometime. Oh, well, I'm not sure. I'll have to ring you nearer the time. Yeah. Oh, okay. I have to run now. Yeah. Okay, I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Hello, could I have electrical department, please? The electrical department. Oh, is it? Oh, I beg your pardon. Hello. Yeah. That's right. I've been away. Cyprus. Can you make lunch? Well then, this afternoon. We'll get your mother round. About 3. The Savoy. The Savoy Hotel in the Strand. No, I don't know what the tube is. Get a taxi, I'll pay you back. Yeah, you ask for me at the desk. Bring your wares and half a pound of butter. It's a joke. No, alright. Alright, yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.
Drove the night in the rain through the darkness, talking to the moon. I thought I knew that I had all the answers. I'd like to spend a little more time with you. Have some tea, let's do lunch, talk things over, you and I. Try to see if there's a way. Our time apart seems so long, got the feeling so alone. Have so much I want to say. In the biggest way, I want you here to stay. I love you. A dog so sad, the cat's gone mad. Won't you come back? Our world's turned square. I made mistakes, for heaven's sake. I still love you. Give a little chance to show you that I care. I cut the grass, did the trash, did the dishes, gave you cash, and I know I was never there. But now I know I've changed my ways.
Did you know? I think this might be of interest to you, Patrick, as a detail of some consequence in the history of your new home. That Dwight D. Eisenhower slept here.
Did he?
Well, he came to a lot of meetings.
Is that true?
Of course not, you buffoon.
It's the kind of evening you normally spend.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, full of fun.
We don't normally spend our evenings under the malignant eye of a drunken journalist.
You mean Patrick doesn't?
Nor do we usually spend our evenings with people who've had specific messages left for them telling them not to come.
Very remiss, those boys at reception.
Why didn't you answer your phone all afternoon?
A, because I was busy. And B, because I knew you'd call. Well, that was a better bloody meal than you ever cooked me. Thank you, Patrick. I'll tell you what, why don't you move out and I'll live with Patrick? You could get somewhere cosy around the corner and Patrick and I could pop round to see you alternate evenings after dinner. And you never know, one night Patrick and I might strike it lucky and we need trouble you no further. Mine's a small coffee and a large brandy.
You've had your free meal, now piss off.
But Anne, the discussion. Our discussion.
What's to discuss?
Oh, dearie me.
I'll make the coffee.
I want this man to be the mother of my children. This is mine.
It is not.
Well, look, I don't want to make an issue of it, but this is in fact mine.
All right, take it.
No, if you want it, I would dream of
I don't
taking
want the
it.
bloody thing, take it.
All right.
What's that?
Demonstration.
National Front?
IRA.
Is it wrong?
There came to some kind of grievance. The Home Secretary lives over there somewhere.
Does this sort of thing happen often?
Continually. Of course, it's nothing compared to the man downstairs.
The man downstairs?
What? You mean to say you haven't heard the man downstairs? Practicing his trombone. Listen. You have to be as insensitive as a warthog like me, or more so like Anne, to be able to put up with the man downstairs. Should have thought any normal human being would find living over here absolutely intolerable. A few rounds of twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Give up!
Who's that? My God, you gave me a fright. I'd forgotten you were there.
We all know our neighbour downstairs is a very sweet old lady.
Are you going to sit on that penitential stool all evening? It's going to make our discussion unnecessarily diffuse. There is some brand, isn't there?
Yes.
Large as you like. Now, Patrick.
Yes.
Where do you live?
Here.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not talking about usually. I mean, usually.
Oh, at my mum's.
Really? Do you mean with your mum?
Yes.
Amazing.
Well, that is to say, it's a large house. I have a floor to myself. When my parents divorced, my mother kept the house in London.
A good housekeeper, eh?
What?
Nothing.
I see.
So, divorced. I'm surprised. My old man died last year after 37 years of ecstatically happy marriage. At least he spent so long telling everyone he was ecstatically happy, I think dying was the only method he could devise of getting out of it gracefully.
Well, if we're quite up to date with each other's family histories, perhaps now we could move on to the weather.
I'm just trying to get a full picture of the situation.
Patrick's former domestic arrangements, if I may say so, have bugger all to do with the situation.
Well, you never know. I thought you might have a nice cheap flat to rent. Now I know it's a question of living with his mother, I shall have to think again. No disrespect to the poor old cow. Also, I couldn't help noticing how there's nothing here that doesn't belong to you. Or, as for example, in the case of this chair, me. That made me curious. What I mean is, don't you find it inconvenient having to go back to your mother's every time you want to change your socks?
I have my clothes here. I've never accumulated very much in the way of material possession.
Well, very commendable. But you can see now why I've been pursuing this tack. I mean, I can't really be blamed for thinking it all looks a bit temporary, can I?
You can be blamed for mixing it, which is what you're up to. If there's anything to discuss, which there isn't, it's not to do with Patrick. It's to do with why I've decided to do what I've done and what took me so long about it.
All right, then, let's talk about that. Well, go on.
What's there to say except that for 2.5 years you bullied and terrorized me to such an extent that I could hardly open my mouth. I didn't dare to have an opinion you hadn't approved about anything. My friends pitied me, and your friends despised me. And the only peace I ever had was when you were away. And even then, you were ringing up every evening, snarling and taunting and threatening me about something or other. mention that in the course of those 2.5 years, you had affairs, or at any rate, sexual relations, with 42 other women.
You counted.
No, you counted. I don't know or care whether you tell the truth about these things, but the mathematics is yours.
I see.
And judging by what I've been told since, things were not always as you described them.
Told by who? What have you been told? What do you mean?
All I mean is that people say just as unpleasant and probably more accurate things about you behind your back as you say about them behind theirs.
Doesn't speak very well, does she?
She's bloody startled.
All right.
He used to claim, save up clumsy sentences I said and repeat them to me when we got home.
You told me.
Yes, well I'm telling you again, it's relevant, isn't it?
Yes, what I'm saying, you told me, I don't want to hear it. It's, you told me, I know why you said it.
Your sentences aren't too elegant either, are they? However, I suppose grammar is the least of our worries.
Ha!
2 of those and you'd be laughing.
Enjoying yourself?
Well, much more than I did during dinner, but then if somebody had thrown up, it would have been a relief.
I was speaking to Patrick.
Look, let's leave Patrick out of it for the moment, shall we? And see if we can't get back to what we were talking about, our relationship. Now, you were saying, if I read it correctly, that I bullied you and never allowed you to have any opinion of your own.
Yes.
Not true. When we met, you actually had no opinions of your own. Consequently, as time went on, the opinions you picked up tended to be mine, and if they were sufficiently shaky and newly established to crumble as soon as I attacked them. Do you think I liked that? Do you think I liked hearing you parrot out all the things I told you to everyone we met? Do you think I liked the fact it was impossible to have an argument with you about any subject, however neutral, without you taking it personally? It's possible to disagree with someone about the ethics of non-violence without wanting to kick his face in. All that mute suffering you used to go through every time we had some piddling dispute about the common market, or the stock market, or the supermarket, or some other damn thing we didn't in fact give a toss about. I much prefer you the way you are now, if you want to know.
Nonsense. If I ever argued with you about anything, you used to go berserk. In the end, I just stopped bothering.
I said I much prefer you the way you are now.
The only reason for that is you aren't living with me. If you were living with someone, you'd go home tonight and tell her how wonderful I was and abuse her for not being more like me.
I never realised you felt so resentful about the other women.
Didn't you? I thought that was half the fun.
You never seemed to mind very much. Except your friend, what's her name? But that was a bit different. I mean, that's what we agreed at the beginning, isn't it? Freedom and honesty. We could do what we liked as long as we didn't have to tell lies about it. Isn't that what we agreed?
It's what you announced. I never believed for a moment that sort of freedom was supposed to apply to me.
You didn't want it.
That's not the point.
Of course it's the point! It's not my fault if you're temperamentally unpromiscuous, or however it was you described it.
Anyway, if you're so bloody liberal, why'd you split my lip that day I had lunch with Justin?
I took against his name.
Then, why didn't you split his lip?
He's bigger than you are.
Very funny.
What I want to know is, if I'm so appalling, how comes you put up with me for so long?
That's a really stupid question.
Sounds fair enough to me.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Then you answer it.
Well, I can't.
Then don't interrupt.
Don't be horrible to Patrick.
What are you up to?
What do you mean?
Why are you pretending to be so nice?
I'm not pretending to be anything. I'm just standing here waiting for the answer to a perfectly simple question.
I'm just standing here waiting for you to piss off home!
Patrick, you see how years of living with me have taken their toll? She used to be so docile.
Really?
Now I find that in leaving me, she's taken with her several of my most unpleasant characteristics.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
He's a goer, isn't he?
Dave, there are 2 of us present. I don't know why you insist on speaking to us one at a time.
Divide and rule?
That's what I thought.
Well, Since I've been unmodest, I may as well come to the point of this discussion, and I'll try and address it to both of you. Although, of course, that was not my intention. And what I have to say is for you and not for Patrick. I've always lived, privately and professionally, according to some very simple principles. You know, with money and women, if in doubt, say yes. With friends and neighbours, if in doubt, say no. There's no business like show business. Never trust a politician beginning with K. That kind of uncomplicated and reliable rule of thumb. I mean, I see a few people doing their bit and thinking they'll stop the rot, but like the majority, I don't really see much point in trying to dig steps in the side of the whirlpool. Better to go down smiling. So, you'll appreciate that what I'm about to say is a betrayal of all my deepest instincts. Will you marry me?
What?
Will you marry me?
Can I have a moment to think about it?
No.
In that case, the answer is no.
In that case, you can have a moment to think about it.
No.
No. If it's the women. If you're still worried about the women, I think I might be able to offer you certain concessions. I mean, most of the time, I can't say I enjoyed it all that much, having to listen to all their blather and misery. But I made sacrifices, you know, as we all have to. I think I might be able to promise you to break with what? Emotional entanglements, at any rate.
It's not the women.
Then what is it?
It's you.
But I'm just telling you, I've decided to change.
Oh, come on. Next thing you'll be saying is you're only a humble reporter.
And this is less than reasonable. I don't think you're being quite fair.
What's anything to do with fair, as you used to say?
Patrick! I appeal to you. I appeal to you as a neutral observer.
Hardly neutral.
No, I know, but you know what I mean. What I mean is this right?
Sounds perfectly alright to me. You asked her to marry you and she said yes.
No, Patrick, I don't think you're really with. Look, listen. Let me give you a simple illustration of what we're talking about. There's a girl who works at the paper, has the most enormous tip.
Oh, Jesus.
Bear with me, you'll see the relevance of this in a moment. Anyway, there she is. Otherwise, totally unremarkable, except as I say, for this pair of truly massive knockers. Anyway, one day when Anne was away, I could restrain myself no further, and I invited her out to dinner. Afterwards, I brought her back in. And after the usual dreary 2 hours of blabbing away, I managed to get her to bed. Once there, I confessed to her that all I really wanted to do, and indeed all I intended to do, was to satisfy my curiosity as to the appearance and texture of her absolutely mesmerising and exorbitant dominance. I just wanted to gaze, assess, and generally follow. Fortunately, she took it like a trooper and was still the best of friends. Now, what I'm driving at is that pleasant incident can't possibly have done the slightest harm to the girl, to me, or to Anne, can it? Am I right or am I right?
If I've heard about that poor wretched girl's kid.
Now, I'm talking to Patrick. Fair dues.
Fair dude.
What do you think, Patrick?
Well, as a course of action in itself, I wouldn't particularly approve, but I don't know what your agreement was with Anne, and if that was your agreement, I suppose there was no harm in it. I'm not quite sure I know what you're driving at.
What I'm driving at is that was the kind of thing that was held against me.
I see.
That's what she meant when she said I bullied and terrorised her.
Well, if it is, I can't suppose how you should possibly think I should be able to pass judgment on it. If it is, I still can't understand why you should want to ask my opinion about it. If it is, I suppose you're right. them all that enormous myself.
Patrick,
Yes.
I want you to do something for me. I want you to get in your car and drive Dave to a pub or a strip club or somewhere, or anywhere away from here, where the two of you can carry on your anatomical reminiscences with complete abandon. I've got other things to do. I can't think why you wanted to arrange this abysmal occasion in the first place. But since you did, I think it's up to you to get him out of here before he gets properly launched on the unending saga of his grubby love life. Is that clear? There is no point in gawping at me like that. I've made up my mind, and I've had enough, and I want you both out here now. Go on, go!
Gone all right to pieces for the bottom drawer. Only without an audience, Linda. And yet this seems surprising because of all contemporary composers, you seem as much as any a composer who communicates very directly to an audience and writes with a sense of an audience that's listening to us. I'm a good listener to music. You know, I like writing music for people as well. That means first of all myself. But for this, to whom I'm probably similar, you know, and it's nice for people for in my music. And how do you expect other listeners to listen to your music? What are they listening to for in this ideal world? No, it's a great mystery. I think that when you recognize how other people hear music, it's like the colors. You don't know which of the face is red, and I see the red. Maybe you see the red as that's not right, because the listeners of my music more or less than they were.
I bought you a present.
What is it?
Yes.
Ah, a bunch of daffodils?
No. It's a record.
Never.
It is the one, isn't it?
What?
The one Dijk.
Yes. Yes, it is. Thanks.
You like it, don't you?
Yes, it's... Yes.
Don't think I know, said.
Thank you.
Bad move, eh?
Oh, well, if it's supposed to be making up for last night's fiasco, perhaps it is a bit tactless.
Perhaps so.
But it was very thoughtful of you.
I'm very sorry about last night.
Yes, I know. Don't let's talk about it.
I just thought he had the right.
That bastard has no rights.
Well, after all, he did ask you to marry.
Yes, that was a law, wasn't it?
I don't know.
No, you don't. And you shouldn't. It's none of your business.
I just didn't like to think get rid of me like that without talking it over at all.
Well, your mother phoned.
What did she?
She wants me to ring her back.
Ah. I'll call her later.
Do it now if you like.
Later will do. Busy day?
Not remotely.
I stopped down to see you. Jane said you'd slipped out or something.
There was so little doing that I amused myself drafting a letter of resignation.
What?
I think I've had enough.
But you've never said anything about it before.
I only drafted the letter, I didn't send it.
All the same, this is a bit of a bombshell.
I'll fit with it. It's true what Dave always used to say. Those people don't need an interpreter. They know perfectly well what they're saying to one another. Nothing. I told you. Last week I went up to lunch with Morrison and that Spaniard, and all Morrison wanted to know was what the investment situation is like now in Spain.
Yes, well, Dave told me all we were doing was purveying to our hapless brothers overseas the educational ideas that had brought this country to its knees. It's very easy to be cynical.
Dave's not cynical, he's puritanical.
I very much doubt that.
Of course he is.
I don't think I can afford to be.
The first time I met him, I asked him what he did, and he told me that he wrote blistering reports in words of not more than one syllable, in sentences of not more than 5 words, for a newspaper that was guaranteed not to let the vinegar through.
I thought he worked for us.
Yes, now he says he's allowed to write very interesting and considered articles, and the only thing he has to contend with is the fact that nobody reads them.
Yes, well, I don't see what Dave's problem is.
Nothing.
Anyway, I thought we weren't allowed to talk about him.
What do you mean?
Every time I bring up his name, bite my head off.
That's because you will insist on talking about him all the time when you don't know the first thing about him. Not to mention defending him. That's what really gets up my nose.
I don't think I do I? Well, I don't exactly like him, but I certainly don't mind him. I suppose you're right. I don't know that much about
Then
it.
shut up about it.
All right. Tell me why you want to leave the job.
Because I want to leave you.
No. You don't mean it.
Yes.
But why? Oh.
No,
You want to?
I do not. I knew you were going to say that.
You don't?
I wouldn't dream of it.
Oh. Well, you must admit it is the obvious conclusion.
It's the obvious conclusion to a man that one could only bear to leave him in order to go back to some other bloody man.
No, I didn't quite mean it like that. I meant, after seeing him again last night, that is, seeing us both together, it might have, reawakened some...
The only thing it reawakened was a very strong and urgent desire to live on my own again.
I see.
That was my mistake, Patrick. That was the mistake. I thought that the only way to get away from Dave was to run off with somebody else. I used you. I'm very sorry about it.
Don't apologize. I'm very glad. Anyway, don't you think this is a bit radical after one bad evening?
No.
But after all, you put up with Dave for 2.5 years. I think it's a bit hard to give me the elbow on the basis of one sticky dinner party.
You know, I'm very decisive.
I don't call it decisive. I call it rash.
How would you know it takes you 45 minutes every morning to decide what shoes to wear and you've only got 3 pair?
Well...
I know, it's a very trivial example, but it's the kind of thing I mean.
Well, I may not know what kind of shoes to put on, but I know what I want.
You don't.
You can't say that. I should know what I want, shouldn't I?
You have wants, the way other people have toothache, kind of dull and general.
Look, are we talking about what I want, or are we talking about what you want?
We're talking about what I want. And what I want because as far as I can see, you don't want anything at all.
Let's have that again.
You know perfectly well what I mean. You are so rational and careful that anything as crude as a wish or a whim or a desire dies before you even get your mouth open.
Balls.
Patrick. Do you know something? I think this is the first argument we've ever had.
It isn't.
It is.
Is it?
Oh, God.
Well, wait, I'm trying to think. There was that disagreement about the Chinese restaurant.
Oh, for God's sake, what difference does it make?
Well, obviously it does make some difference, otherwise you wouldn't be reproaching me for it.
No, I'm not. The only point I was trying to make was that you must admit the whole thing's been rather passionless, joyless.
Felix?
Yes.
Yes, well, I suppose it is my fault. At any rate, it's a familiar complaint. Someone else once accused me of being too happy.
I don't see what that's got to do with it.
Well, by and large, it is true. I'm a happy man. And consequently, I don't expect all that much from other people. And consequently, I don't know quite what they expect from me. And that way I'm totally maladjusted. That's why I find people, or at any rate women, so bewildering.
Oh, you make a distinction, do you, between people and women?
No, now let's not get off on all that. You know what I mean? When someone says to me, I want this or that, I feel this or that, I respond accordingly. And it's only later I realize that's not what was meant at all. I'm an incurable optimist. That's the misery of it.
An optimist? In this country, now?
Yes, I know it's very terrible at the moment. But I honestly believe that in 100 years' time, or maybe 2, all those problems, and that is to say all the problems that can be, will be sorted out more or less. And people will be able to actually start doing something with their lives.
You mean when we're dead?
Yes.
And you call that optimism?
Yes.
Yes. Well, whatever may or may not be the truth of these philosophical speculations, the fact remains that I've had enough. I've made a mistake, and I'm very sorry. And now I've had enough.
Right.
If you were even vulnerable,
I'm sure I believe as much as the next man.
maybe you do, but very neatly, I suspect.
Sorry for scratching terribly. Shall I not stay the night tonight?
really see the point, do you?
Well, perhaps I had better own one.
Please yourself.
This is all really very painful for me.
I'm sorry.
The reason I haven't, it's just, well, I don't want you to think that this doesn't matter to me. It's just the things we were talking about. I mean, you're everything I want. But what you want, I don't think I could ever.
What do you mean?
You know? Maybe I misunderstood. I just wanted to make it clear. I had better leave your key.
Don't bother. Don't bother.
There we are.
You really needn't have bothered, not right that moment.
Be sure.
Ah, for God's sake, keep it. Keep it off. I couldn't bear to stand here and watch you fiddling the bloody thing on again. What?
Where would you like me to leave it?
Anywhere.
Okay, where do you want it, missus?
I told you not to bring it round yourself.
Well, you can't get the label gun now. Give us a hand. Come on, shift yourself. Where's Patrick?
Out.
No, he isn't.
Well, if you know, then why ask?
Just wanted to see what you'd say. It's a nice bit of rug. Perhaps I've been rash. What do you think?
By all means, take it back again if you want to.
Very good for making love on us, that.
I never thought much of it.
By the way, I meant to ask you, what's Patrick like in bed?
No worse than you.
No wonder you've got rid of him. There. Everything to your satisfaction, madam.
Yes.
I'm
Except for
told
one thing.
you've left your job as well.
Yes.
Perhaps now you can use your qualifications for something more socially respectable. Dubbing pornographic movies. No, I'm serious. There's a lot of money in that. I know a bloke.
Look, why don't you take your chair and get back off to wherever it is you've come from?
I don't think it would go my route.
You're not still at the Savoy, are you?
That's what my bank manager keeps saying.
I'm sure.
Question of waiting till I can afford to pay the bill. Thirsty water.
What?
Cup of tea will be most welcome.
All right.
Good gracious. Lovely.
What?
Living on your own.
I like it.
It has its advantages, doesn't it?
Yes.
You're not having Arthur back from the newsagents then?
No. I thought about it and I decided against it.
Thanks. You remember?
4 large sugars is hard to forget.
What made you get rid of Patrick?
Didn't work.
Nice chap.
Yes.
Full of overeducated bullshit, of course, otherwise I liked him. Never thought he was quite your speed.
Speed of any kind was not one of his strong points.
His face. He looked like someone who just stepped into an empty lift shaft. But then so do most people nowadays. Unless like me, they actually enjoy dancing in the ruin.
And what are you up to at the moment?
Nothing much. I went round to see Millicent again, having managed to conquer an invincible distaste for her name. But she seems to have taken up with an Australian poet, if you can imagine such a thing.
What are you going to do now?
I don't know, a bit of a holiday I should think until the money runs out.
Oh.
Well, I'd say that just about wraps up the conversational possibilities, wouldn't you?
Anne,
No.
I wasn't going to say that.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, what about another cup of tea?
That wasn't what you were going to say.
No, you're quite right. I was just wondering if you'd given any thought to the proposition I made the other evening.
What proposition?
Proposal, I should say.
Ah,
Well,
yes, I have.
I meant it, you know.
Yes.
And what have you decided?
I haven't changed my mind.
Well, that's a relief.
Oh,
Yes. Your instinct was absolutely sound. It would have been a catastrophe.
I see.
I mean, when I look at the marriages of my friends, all I can see is easy pickings.
That's an exaggeration.
True. Still, as long as it lasts, the bad conscience of the female middle-class mafia, I suppose there'll always be a niche for me.
Why do you hate women so much?
I don't hate women.
Then why did you treat me so badly?
Question is, why did you allow me to treat you so bad?
Do you mean you treated me badly because you hated me for letting you treat me badly?
No, I mean I may have treated you badly because I thought you liked me to treat you badly.
I can't believe that.
Patrick told me you never complained about me.
I didn't think it was any of his business. Will you please?
No. I was rather annoyed, first. And then I thought maybe I was on the wrong track all that time, since it doesn't seem to have had any effect. Still, I suppose we all make mistakes. As you, no doubt, said to Patrick.
Not an apology, is it?
I expect it's the nearest you'll ever get to one.
Better make the most of it then, hadn't I?
It was what I was trying to tell you that evening I broke in.
Even then it was too late.
No reason. No reason we shouldn't see each other from time to time, is there?
What's the point?
No point. I'd just like to know how you're getting on, that's all.
You're unusually mellow this afternoon.
What I was going to say, what I was actually going to say when you stopped me just now was, why don't we go to bed?
All right.
What?
All right. What's the matter?
Nothing. You just caught me on the hop.
Well,
Well, terrific.
and then That will be that.
What do you mean?
What I say.
Well, we'll see, Sean.
I'm telling you, I like things tidy.
Okay.
Right?
It'll be just a little treat.
Yes.
Well?
Bedroom?
Well, since I went to the trouble of having this bloody way, well,
If you insist.
I do.
Right.
Fine.
What?
I feel rather nervous. Reminds me of the night I lost my virginity. What a card game that. It's close. I won't be anymore. I've changed my mind.
What?
I don't know what it is you're up to, but I don't want anything to do with it.
What are you talking about?
Now you listen to me. I'm going back to the hotel now, and you can think about it this afternoon and this evening, or however long it takes. And when you've made your mind up, you can ring me, or not ring me, whatever you decide. Anyway, I'll be there, all right?
Is this what you planned, is it?
I don't make plans. I just live on my wits and try to cover all the exits. You just have to pick up the phone.
For many years to create something in Grand Central. Grand Central is a historical building in Manhattan, and I was very, very happy to be invited here. But I don't take any risk, because as you see, I do all the rigging by myself. Of course, I was helped, and I am not a madman, I think. I want to live very old, and I have many projects. I think you look up and then you are lost because of the space is too big for you. And when I am in mid-air, I occupy that space. It's more mine, like the World Trade Center is mine. I shouldn't have said that, but it's my way of relating to a building is to walk, to walk on that building. And then Victoria. Oh yeah. This building was imprinted by millions of footsteps on the floor, and I wanted to imprint a few footsteps on the ceiling.
I was going to say, if it was Arthur, we better get you down the doctor. Or him down the vet. You've given him a terrible turn.
Look, that's so neat after all.
What the hell are you talking about?
You.
For God's sake, don't stand there dripping on the rug.
Well, go on, get the poor bugger an elastoplast or something. Don't just stand there.
I've come down to talk with you about stock or anything.
What?
Nothing.
Are you quite alright?
Apart from this,
I think you'd better have a brandy. This is very trying, you know. We've only just had that pane replaced. The glazier will gossip. I must say, old bean, this shows a sad lack of imagination. Couldn't you have devised some other method? You could have bought a taxi and cruised around the area waiting to be hailed. A bit of originality, that's all we ask.
Stop it, Dave.
I want to talk to you.
We know that, Patrick. But I have to tell you, this is not a convenient moment. We can't even offer you any supper, lads. I'm afraid we've scoffed the lot. So, when you're all finished there, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to slosh down your brandy and get off home to mother.
I've got a flat of my own now.
Then what are you breaking in here for?
I told you I want to talk to Anne.
And I've told you this is not the right moment. Now, don't force me to get heavy with you. An Englishman's home is his castle, you know? And not to put too fine a point on it, if you're not out of here in 10 seconds, I'm going to call the police.
Look, I know it's very difficult for you, but you find it quite impossible to be serious.
You'd be surprised, mate. I'm waiting. Right.
Don't.
Hello? Oh, is there a choice? I'll have to have a think about it. I'll let you know. Thank you. Easy when you know how. Next time I will get them around here.
I don't understand this at all.
Well, there are uncertainties in this world, Patrick. I have a friend called Napoleon Bonaparte. Actually believes he's a lunatic.
I think perhaps you'd better go now, Patrick.
Are you going to get married?
You're joking.
Just wondered.
Look, in a couple of years' time, or sooner, or anyway sometime, we shall probably make a very unpleasant mess of each other's lives, and that'll be the end of it.
And is that a reasonable basis?
Of course it is. We just know in advance what catches most people by surprise, that's all. Look, I'll tell you what, I'm going away again in a couple of weeks. Why don't you wait and have another bash then? If you get anywhere, of course, you have to take into account the fact she's probably only doing it to get back at me, but if you think that's worthwhile, God bless you. Can't say fairer than that, now can I? Alternatively, you could hang around until the whole thing's over, although I shouldn't if I were you, because I have to be honest with you, my money's on some third party. Let's leave it for now, shall we?
Did you read my letters?
She wouldn't, I'm afraid. She's very stubborn. So I did. They were most effective.
I'm talking to Anne.
I know that. I can see that. But is she talking to you? That's the question we should be asking ourselves.
Look, why don't you...
Patrick! I'm sorry about this. I really am. I like you. Believe me, I've grown to be very fond of you. I mean, I won't deny this whole situation has a certain, you know. Well, as an old mate of mine, Charlie Peters always used to say, there is no more subtle pleasure than to see your best friend fall off the roof. But I do have a genuine affection and liking for you, and...
Fuck off!
Patrick!
Talking to Anne.
The floor is yours.
Anne.
The rug is mine, the floor is yours.
Is this what you want? That's all I want to ask you, love. I've done my very best to be irrational this evening. I don't understand it, but I can't bear to see this happening to you. So just tell me, it's all I want to know. Is this what you really want?
Will you get the hell out of here, you stupid, hopeless bastard? What the fuck do you think you're doing? Can't you get it through your head? Sod you, I want you out. Understand that? Can you? I want you out and I never want to see you again.
you